You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe. I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe. So what is it about talking about places like Southeast D.C., right, Ward 8, if you will, that people say, well, we need more officers to make us safe? I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
Yes, Simone Sanders, a Democrat Party propagandist from the Bernie Sanders campaign and MSDNC on with Morning Joke. Police don't make you safer because she's a black woman. Something like that. Georgetown, not a hotbed of gunplay in Washington, D.C., but Ward 8, that's Trayvon White. That's, Trayon White. He was just reelected to bring more of the same. Well, very happy Tuesday to you, and welcome back once again. Crime in our nation's capital and, by extension, other American big cities. Part of the discussion today because President Trump wants to fight crime. The Democrats want to fight President Trump. Yesterday, a mob of liberals assaulted FBI agents deployed to the streets of Washington, D.C., and the news media makes a joke out of it. Oh, FBI agents in D.C. assaulted with sandwich, a Subway sandwich. Was it a foot-long Subway sandwich? Because those, they could give you a bruise, could leave a mark, hit you in the neck or something. Federal agents in D.C. assaulted with sandwich, freedom fighter escapes. Freedom fighter, they're fighting for freedom to kill, freedom to murder. The Democrats are literally fighting for more murder in Washington, D.C., and they're organizing. They've got a new organization, a # Free D.C. or something. These people are really something. A hero of the resistance, get it, it's a hero sandwich, clad in a pink polo shirt and Bermuda shorts. Should probably be hit with a stun gun and then dragged away face down in cuffs, don't you think? Got pink polo shirt and Bermuda shorts. Whipped what appeared to be a foot-long Subway sandwich at Trump's occupying force in Washington, D.C. They literally fight for more crime, more murder. And this guy in the pink and the pink, he's standing about a foot from the FBI agent clad in tactical gear, and he, standing a foot for him, hurled the sandwich at the federal officer as hard as he could, and it splattered all over the place. Police chased him down. The little frou-frou ran away, and the police captured him. He has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Not really, but the murderer, for the crimes, the mayhem that the Democrats create. There was a sentencing life without parole yesterday to the illegal alien that murdered Rachel Morin, raped and murdered the mother of 5, the illegal alien that the Democrats waved into the country, and now will pay millions of dollars for decades to come to keep the creepy illegal alien gang member that the Democrats invited into the country. I think they gave him a free Subway sandwich as well. And he was sentenced yesterday to life in prison without the possibility of parole because the Democrats set up the Morin family and Rachel Morin to be raped and murdered, and the Democrats ignore it as soon as it's done. And look at the Washington Post. They don't even cover the news. They don't cover the news. They're quite amazing. So the federal police deployed to the streets of Washington, D.C. because of the out-of-control crime. And you got a guy who looks like he should be, doing high kicks at the Kennedy Center, dressed in a pink polo shirt with the collar turned up, assaulting federal law enforcement on the street and then running away in flip-flops. Probably should have just hit him with a 12-gauge. Take him out. Done talking. And FBI agents patrol streets in Washington, D.C. after Trump order is one headline. And then you got a guy in a pink polo shirt with the collar turned up assaulting the federal agents because Democrats Democrats. Now, Michael, let's go to some audio here, please. And we remain at 888-630-9625. Let's go to President Trump. We were carrying a lot of it live on the air yesterday. He came out while we were live on the air. And President Trump yesterday at the White House explaining that he'd like to fight crime in our crime-ridden nation's capital, where, again, we have a homicide rate of 41 homicides per 100,000 over a 5-year period, 2019 to 2024, and 41 per 100,000. Baghdad has 15 per 100,000. 15. Baghdad, Iraq has 15 per 100,000. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Certainly ought to be. And it just gets crazier and crazier. In Belize, if you're in Belize, the Central American nation, a very nice nation, they've got a homicide rate of about 21 per 100,000, maybe 22 per 100,000 in 2024. Washington, D.C., 41 per 100,000. Baghdad, 15 per 100,000. President Trump yesterday at the White House.
Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control.
Place it under federal control. Now, I mean, again, this is the District of Columbia. The reason it's called the District of Columbia is because it is a federal district that in the 1970s was foolishly granted a measure of home rule. The Democrats are fighting to corrupt the hell out of that. The brilliant founding fathers for whom the Democrat Party lives in contempt. The founding fathers knew that it was vitally important in the United States to have where the seat of the federal government would be, not be an ordinary state with 2 members of the U.S. Senate and 1 member of the House of Representatives, because they would be super delegates of sorts, and you'd have a governor, and the governor would be a super governor because he would control the seat of the federal government. The Democrats are doing everything they can to corrupt that, and they're shooting a lot of people in the process. They, again, Chris Van Hollen, who dines with MS-13, and Eleanor Holmes Norton, who doesn't know what planet she's living on and has been a non-voting delegate in Washington, D.C. for, I think, longer than I've been alive. Amazing stuff. But yesterday, Chris Van Hollen and Eleanor Holmes Norton, non-voting delegate, Washington, D.C., my non-representative in the U.S. Congress, and Chris Van Hollen calls her Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton when she is a delegate, not a congresswoman, announced they're going to introduce legislation to give the District of Columbia full control of the D.C. National Guard, which currently is under the umbrella of the President of the United States and always has been. But they're just tearing up, shredding our republic, our constitutional republic. Our democracy is under assault by Chris Van Hollen. And I'd leave Eleanor Holmes Norton out of it because she leaves herself out of it. She doesn't know what year it is. Amazing stuff. And they're just railing Trump's raw authoritarian power grab in D.C. I'm sorry, Joe Biden deployed the National Guard in Washington for 4 months from his inauguration forward until May of 2020. And the news media applauded that. They were fine with that. And they ignored all the people being shot. Not by the National Guard. But, you know, the Democrats, some guardsmen visiting Washington, D.C. from across America, ordered pizza at a pizza place in D.C., and the Democrats at the pizza place sent the pizza over to the guardsmen who were being shacked up in a concrete parking garage, and they found that their pizza was filled with broken shards of glass because the Democrats are a violent party waging civil war in the United States of America. They're the party of the first American Civil War, and they continue to wage a violent assault, shooting President Trump, shooting Steve Scalise, shooting police officers, firebombing police cars, firebombing courthouses, firebombing police stations. And that was just over George Floyd. But if you're a young intern visiting Washington and you're gunned down by a Democrat, no riots, no looting, no arson, no anger They just shrug and say, well, you know, young, white, squeaky, clean, responsible men will be gunned down on the streets of Washington from time to time. And the official position of the Democrat Party is they don't care. And the official position of rank-and-file Democrats is they don't care. Human life is not their thing. They harvest the organs of the unborn. Joseph Goebbels would applaud them. He was the lead nasty doctor for Adolf Hitler's Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. President Trump yesterday, he actually seems to care about the terrible crime in Washington, D.C.
And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now.
Cut to the video of Democrats looting in mobs, violent mobs of Democrats looting stores in downtown Washington and Georgetown and beyond. Now, the Heritage Foundation in 2023 wrote a piece posted on the Heritage Foundation website. The Constitution created the District of Columbia, and only the Constitution can make it a state, which is what the Democrats are trying to do and threatening to do. Congress does not have the authority to statutorily alter the size or status of the district consisting, and this is constituting, rather, the seat of government of the United States without a constitutional amendment. You see, you would actually have to amend the Constitution before you could give statehood to D.C., which is what the Democrats want to do in order to steal 2 more seats in the Senate and give them 1 more vote in the House of Representatives. Now, President Trump on murder in Washington, which the Democrats are fine with.
The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. Much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it.
The Democrats are literally organizing right now to preserve the status quo, where we throw our mentally ill, drug-addicted, helpless, hopeless people out onto the sidewalk to eventually die and then go pick up their bodies. And that's about all that goes on, because with the homeless people and mentally ill people and all of that good stuff. Yes, sir, just amazing. And the Democrats literally have created a new organization that is dedicated to fighting against Trump. Fighting against Trump. Because he wants to fight crime, they want to fight for crime. They've got an organization, what's it called? Pound sign free DC? Is that pound sign free DC? They love the pound sign. Like pound me too. Pound me too. How did that come out? They dropped that pound me too thing because they realized they're all Jeffrey Epstein. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally available to all of us, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous generations, which earned thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. This new Thunderstorm, I've got one at home, uses 2 technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air in your home and your office. Also removes dust and pet dander and smoke and a whole lot more from the air that you breathe. And it gets rid of any stinky odor. It's amazing. You don't have to buy filters to replace over and over again. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Trash cans, cigarette smoke, liberal protesters, musty basements, and much more. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And any smell will disappear in a matter of seconds. Because you and I hang out, right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You can put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code Chris3, Chris and the number 3, to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris3. Bump, 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 bump. Yes, sir. All right. I've got the mayor of D.C. coming up, too. She's flip-flopping a little. Democrats love crime. Why is that? 888-630-9625. All right, great deal to get to. This and other things, too. Let's go to the telephones right now, Michael. Let's go to Jerry, calling from Martinsburg, West Virginia. Geraldo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, this is Jerry. Yeah, hi, thanks for having me, Chris.
You bet.
So
Welcome.
I believe we're in the middle of a constitutional crisis here. Mm-hmm. And here's what I'm trying to say. I don't think the forefathers ever saw that our cities would grow this large in the areas around the city, and that transportation abilities like the car and train would make that possible. And so the problem is that the elections for city officials are only for residents within the city. And yet those residents have the least amount of investment in that city, which is why you see things like socialism be so attractive, because, you know, the politicians come and say, if you like me, I'm going to give you this and this and this, like we're currently seeing in New York.
Yeah.
When really it's all the people in the surrounding area, you know, going out 50, 75 miles that have all of the investment in the city.
Well, certainly in New York, and to a very large extent, that's a very interesting point you make, Jerry. And certainly in New York, there's a great deal of truth to that. In Washington, D.C. also, most of the people that actually work jobs in D.C., at least until the Wuhan, live outside of the city and lived outside of the city. An interesting point. And constitutional crisis? Let's take another phone call. Then I want to play an ABC News reporter who I actually know and who I like, talking about life in D.C., working in D.C. and all that stuff. Right now, let's go to the phones. Let's go to John, calling from Southern Maryland. Jonathan, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey, John.
I just wanted to comment on all these talking heads in the media talking about how D.C. is a safe city and everything else. I spent my career in D.C., and you will not find anybody who was involved in first responder. Well, there may be a few that were okay with it, but that will sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to send my kids to Southeast, or I'm going to send my kids to Trinidad, or I'm going to send my kids. And the funny thing about this is every one of these congressional members and every one of these media outlets and everything are all from that area. Everybody's got their office in D.C. Not one of their children, their grandchildren, their nieces or nephews, or any of them attend D.C. public schools, D.C.'s public parks, or D.C. anything.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, we all know. But Donald Trump, I disagree with President Trump. I'm a staunch supporter of him. But he's wrong. It was worse. I was there when it was worse.
Yeah.
And it did get better. And Anthony Williams, I credit, was really turned that city around with the cleaning or leaning, and then it changed. It changed for a minute. And then, the Democrats took back over, the crazy ones. And the city, the D.C.'s home rule needs to be revoked. Congress needs to take that city back. then federalize everything. That way, when you throw a sub sandwich and hit you're committing a federal crime. There's no D.C. court going to say, "Oh, here's $50. I'm sorry, we bothered you." You're going to go to jail because
right.
when they do that, when you commit federal crimes and the federal government puts you in federal jail, you'll see that city change.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
There's not one CNN reporter who lives in Southeast. There's not one NBC reporter who lives in Trinidad or any of these neighborhoods. Not one. But they run their mouth about it.
You're 100% right, and I know I'm sitting here nodding with a smile on my face because I know that everything
DC.
you're saying is true.
The area.
Say again.
I said, you know, D.C. You're from the area. You know what really happens in the city. We have millionaires and billionaires, and they cruise in. They flex their influence, and they cruise out.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a bunch of idiots running it, and they want it like that because there's big money for them like that.
Now, you said that you spent much of your career working in D.C., right?
That's correct.
And you seem to say that you were a first responder.
Yes.
All right, so you're police or fire or medical EMT, right? One of those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
And I was in a neighborhood where you couldn't stop at a stoplight. You risked your life going to work.
Well, since you said that, I want you to, let's go to this Joe Biden soundbite. John, hang here for just a second, because this morning I pulled audio of Joe Biden when he was a member of the Senate. This is 1992, Joe Biden, and he's on the Senate floor talking about D.C.
Driving home, my staff who lives here in the Hill reminded me, don't stop at a stoplight until I'm out of town. If I see a red light late at night, since there's very little traffic, slow up at the other block so I never come to a full stop except in the middle of the block because of carjackings. Stopping at a light, people standing in a corner, walking up with a gun.
So, John, that's, that was the 1990s, and that was 100% right. And you know it. I know it. It sounds like you've got your finger on the pulse. 1991, the homicide rate was 80 per 100,000. 80.
Yeah,
I happen to have the graph.
Vividly.
Say again?
I said I remember it vividly, believe me.
Yeah, so do I. And I was hanging out and drinking with a lot of D.C. cops at that time, and I have a shoulder patch. It's a D.C. police shoulder patch with the Grim Reaper standing in front of the Capitol. You have that too?
Yep, Death City.
And at Death City,
very popular patch.
Washington D.C., Death City. I have that patch at home, and the we were the murder capital of the world. And again, right now, it's 27.5 per 100,000. Then it was 80.6 per 100,000 in 1991, and 78.5 in 1993. And the homicides, they're in the 90s, absolutely crazy. So you were DC MPD, weren't you?
No, I was in the fire department.
Oh, okay, all right. And you, the Death City thing with the Grim Reaper in front of the Capitol, those were the days. And the Democrats are just on the side of crime.
They just lie to the American people. If the American people were, I can't not think if everybody was just aware of the reality of what goes on in that city, they would be. It would be. They'd have an uprising. I mean, they deny it, it, but yet none of them live there. None of them they'll go downtown for a dinner. They'll walk, Independence Avenue. They'll stay there. Now they'll talk about that, but they won't cross that river, and they won't go to Columbia Heights. Well, that's changed, but there's certain parts of that city you go to, you're still risking your life.
Yeah.
And you know what's sad is the people that live there are victims. If you go into Mayfair and say we're going to defund the police, they will look at you like you got three heads. Like, are you crazy?
Right.
Defund. And these poor people been victimized by these ideologues, and it's very, very, and not just D.C., Baltimore, Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them. It's very sad that in our country of such wealth and greatness, and we have places like this where people have to suffer, and they just continue to deny it.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you, Chris.
Yeah.
I appreciate all your work.
Well, thank you, buddy. Yeah, you sound like you might have been in 3D. You might have been on U Street. Is that right?
Nah, I was on Florida Avenue.
Okay, talking about Columbia Heights and stuff. Yeah,
I was Florida North Capitol Street area, and you couldn't. That's where Rayful Edmonds owned it, and he actually kept it kind of safe for us. But after after him, it got real bad.
Yeah, big gang leader Rayful Edmonds, and he was kind of a legend.
Yeah, he lived right down the street from us, so he kind of, we had a little. Nobody really bothered us too much. You get shot at now and then, but then when he got locked up, it got real bad for about a decade.
Well, I thank you, John. I'm saluting you, my friend. And I tell you, Jasmine put on the board, said, I don't know a single family who would move with their kids to D.C., and that's why I went to you. And one of the reasons, John, is I was talking yesterday or day before yesterday to a real estate agent in Washington, D.C., who told me that all the real estate agents, this was yesterday, said because Trump was going to come out and announce the federal takeover of the police and stuff, and all the real estate agents on their real estate agent websites were in a panic saying, all my clients are jumping online and saying, I'm not looking in D.C. anymore. I'm just looking in Maryland and Virginia. I'm not moving to D.C. I'm not moving to D.C. And part of it is, of course, Trump derangement syndrome. And part of it is, wait a minute, because the numbers started surfacing and the White House is putting out the numbers, and our murder rate is 3 times what it is in Baghdad. And you're right about the schools. You got to choose. There's like one good junior high school in Washington and one good high school in Washington, and they're not that great either. And it's all because of Democrats, John. And you know it. I know it. It's about time the American people know it. And the Democrat Party, honestly, I'm with you 100%. Home rule for a D.C. should go away. It should be a federal district. Even the federal government could do a better job running D.C. than the Democrats have been doing since the 1970s. And this must stop. Must stop. John, thank you, my friend. Great call. That's great. Hope to run into you one day. Now, let's go to, and it's true, people, and all the real estate agents, again, they're trading with each other. Oh, man, all my clients are calling me saying, no D.C., just Maryland, just Virginia. But I'm out when it comes to D.C. And it's because the Democrats are the third world, and they are destroying our cities and, by extension, our country. And this is our nation's capital. And the President of the United States, and it's called the District of Columbia because it's a federal district. Founding Fathers, Constitution. Never should have gone with this home rule thing. And the Democrats want a state, again, Heritage Foundation, constitutional amendment required for that. Let's go back to President Trump from yesterday, number 4, or as Democrats say, numero cuatro. President Trump.
My father always used to tell me, I had a wonderful father, very smart. He used to say, son, when you walk into a restaurant and you see a dirty front door, don't go in. Because if the front door is dirty, the kitchen's dirty also. Same thing with the Capitol. If our Capitol's dirty, our whole country is dirty, and they don't respect us.
That's a fact, Jack. The President of the United States on taking on sanctuary cities, the Democrats protecting illegality, destroying the sovereignty of the United States, destroying our borders, the very concept of borders and nations and national sovereignty. The Democrat Party is the third world. They are a banana republic.
This city will no longer be a sanctuary for illegal alien criminals. We will have full, seamless, integrated cooperation at all levels of law enforcement, and we'll deploy officers across the district with an overwhelming presence. You'll have more police, and you'll be so happy because you'll be safe. When you walk down the street, you're going to see police, or you're going to see FBI agents. We're going to have a lot of agents on the streets. You're going to have a lot of essentially military, and we will bring in the military if it's needed. By the way, we're going to have National Guard. But Pete Hegseth will tell you about it. We will bring in the military if needed.
And the Democrats are furious. How dare you fight crime? Just a minute. Now let's go to, here's a woman that I know and that I like. that I used to work with as a reporter at CNN. Her name is Kira Phillips. And she was always a lot of fun, and she's smart. And when I worked with her at CNN, we did B-52 training together at Andrews Air Force Base, altitude training and stuff, where they put you in the big tube and deprive you of oxygen, and you play patty cake and stuff like that. She's fun. And she's married to Fox News anchor John Roberts. And she's now with ABC News, Kira Phillips. She yesterday was on ABC streaming service, and Kira Phillips talking about Washington, D.C., and what it's like. ABC News headquarters is on a street called DeSales Street, just off of Connecticut Avenue, and it's one of the downtown business district, one of the nicest and most policed neighborhoods in the entire city. And she's describing what it's like to work at the ABC News headquarters in Washington.
We've been talking so much about the numbers, and yeah, usually that's how you play devil's advocate, is you talk about, oh, well, stats say crime is down. However, I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're all experiencing it firsthand while working and living down here.
And that is obviously a fact. The radio station here is one of the most remote corners of Washington, D.C. The Democrats have looted this neighborhood twice in the last couple of years. There are occasion we had a shooting not too long ago right over there, and it's Democrats. Democrats are a threat to civilization. Kira Phillips, who was talking to Judge Jeanine Pirro, now the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, and she's planning on fighting crime as well. And the Democrats are going to try to keep her from fighting crime because the problem is not our guns, it's their sons. That's the thing about the Democrats. Kira Phillips.
You're talking about the minors, but I'm going to use a personal experience. I was jumped just 2 blocks here from the ABC Bureau. It was not a minor, though. No, hey, look, it's happened to a lot of people in our building, sadly. He was homeless and half-dressed, clearly wasn't in his clear mind. It was scary as hell, I'm not going to lie, but I fought back. I didn't see any weapons in his hands. I felt like it was my only choice. The president did mention that this effort is also going to help clean up homelessness. As we know, many members of the homeless community, sadly, take it upon themselves, like what happened to me, to carry out violence. Not all of them are like that, but sadly, there are those that do, especially when you bring mental illness into the situation. Mm-hmm. Tell me what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, and talking to Judge Jeanine Pirro, it's true. We've got these mentally ill, drug-addicted, half-naked, crazy people that we call homeless people wandering around, and they eventually bash somebody's head in or crash through a store window and then be taken to jail. And then they'll be released right away, and then we start over again. Because the Democrats have figured out the solution for homeless, mentally ill, drug-addicted people, and that is to throw them on the street and leave them there until they die. That's their plan. That's not a solution for mentally ill homeless people. Just saying. It's not the human thing to do. It is an anti-human, subhuman way to treat people that need help. But that's what we've done in D.C. and cities all across America. Hey, I want to talk to you about living a better digital life. Al Gore's amazing internet, all that stuff, phones, iPads, laptops. With one of our newest partners, a great organization, WebRoot. I chose WebRoot because of the total protection product. WebRoot's all-in-one package offers options for individuals or for families, allowing coverage up to 5 devices for yourself, up to 10 devices for a family package, and they have you covered no matter what. WebRoot's coverage includes antivirus protection and identity theft protection and VPN backup, and a whole lot more. You don't need to be an adult. Kids are on phones and iPads and stuff. WebRoot wants to make sure your entire family is protected whether you're a toddler on an iPad, a student in high school or college, senior citizen living over the garage, WebRoot allows for my best girl and I to live a better digital life, a safer digital life, and that's why I want to recommend that you do the same. Right now, because we hang out together, you can get 50% off WebRoot's Total Protection Plan or WebRoot's Essentials Plan when you go to webroot.com/plant. That's me. Again, get 50% off WebRoot's Total Protection, WebRoot's Essentials when you go to webroot.com/plant. Yes, sir. Yeah, and President Trump, again, is stirring things up, and this is a fight that ought to be picked with Washington and with other Democrat-run cities that the Democrats have made barely livable, if at all livable. I mentioned that the Democrats have started a new movement. It's a pound sign, get loud or pound sign, something. And they recommend that everybody go outside and bang pots and pans. They're chanting on the streets of Washington, D.C. is our home, you can't have it, Trump. D.C. is our home, you can't have it, Trump. He's the president. D.C. is our home. You're a libtard. You can't have a bunch of libtards. D.C. is our home. They have to go outside and bang pots and pans. You can't have it, Trump. It's the new civil rights movement for more crime. They've got a civil right to commit crime in Washington, D.C., to shoot people. Woo! Liberals don't woo much. Conservatives don't woo much. You don't find a lot of conservatives where everybody says, woo, hoo, hoo, hoo. That's, these guys are some. Yeah, they're going around planning every night to bang pots and pans in Washington, D.C. in favor of crime. If we had a news media, I wonder how they'd report this.